Live. It's not even recording, it's live.
Oh wow, okay.
I've got my friend Stefan here, Stefan Latouche. We used to work together at Leicester Sound and a little bit at Trent as well, didn't we?
We did.
And so we're having a breakfast meeting. Got our coffee on the go. You were very healthy, actually.
Salmon. Well, that's because I'm with you.
Oh my
I
god.
have to be healthy with you. You should have seen how much butter you put on your toast.
I love my butter. Butter's not bad, as my health professionals will tell you. It's good fat. It's a good fat. But yeah, I did have
you had
lashings of butter.
Plenty of good fat this morning.
So we're just talking about podcasts because me and Stefan are going to be doing some work this year. We're going to be launching some training around podcasts. We're just kind of sorting out the
Logistics.
The logistics of it all. But Steph's got his own studio. He's a voiceover artist now as well. And so we're going to be doing some training with anyone who wants to come on board. So we'll be releasing details about that in the next few weeks.
Yes.
But we were just talking really, I find it really interesting what we were saying there about podcasts in America and podcasts in the UK. What's your perception?
Well, in England we have a culture that's very central to radio. So everybody listens to the radio, everybody has the radio on. It's sort of something we've grown up doing.
Yes.
And in America, at least in my experience, the radio isn't as big a deal out there. It's very music driven, there's a lot less talking, and they don't have like a Radio 1 and a Radio 2, like a national broadcaster like we do. Each state itself has its own sort of federal broadcaster, so there's no kind of one right across the country.
No national, like a BBC Radio 1 or 2.
And because it's a continent, it would be way too difficult because there's a 2-hour time difference from the East Coast and West Coast. So you've got a lot of issues there. So therefore, podcasts have become more popular because they're so accessible, and you can literally take them wherever you go. And I think that's something that because at the moment in England, the only real way to listen to a podcast is on your phone or your computer.
Yeah.
It hasn't caught on quite in the way that it has in the States. You know, if you could listen to any podcast in your car by literally surfing for it, I think it would be more popular because it's convenient now. The problem is convenience, isn't it? And most people will listen to Radio 1 or Radio 2 and they'll get all the news, they'll get everything they need to know, they'll hear a few songs, and that kind of is all they want. You know, but I think that if you look at podcasts like Serial, which have really grabbed people, it's kind of debunked the myth that everything live has to be so important.
Is that the one that you told me about?
It's about the murder cases.
Oh wow, tell everyone what it is.
Oh, I mean, it's now, they're on to the 3rd season they're about to release. It's basically a serial investigation in a podcast form of somebody who went through a case where they felt the person who committed the crime was innocent, and they've gone through the case, examined the evidence, interviewed people, and they've basically tried to force an appeal, which they got.
Oh wow.
They actually forced an appeal.
So it's like that Netflix drama.
Exactly the same, but a podcast version.
Wow. And I mean, I think that's an area that in the UK I've certainly not seen anything like that.
No, but then I think as our legal system's very different, so
True.
that's probably an element of that too.
But I wonder if, like, my guys are mainly fitness professionals and wellness professionals, and they all kind of do, like, they'll have a guest on. It's very formatted in the same way. They'll have one guest. I think there's areas that they could maybe widen it out a little bit like Chris Moyles would do the Zoo format, where he had a crowd of people in, like they were talking to Dominic on news.
Yep.
I can't remember all the people, but it's called Zoo format, isn't it?
Yeah, he's back on the air now on XFM, and
yeah.
I think he's got 2 people in the studio with him, and Dominic's doing the news.
And then, I mean, do you think that could you translate radio? Things like that, so just changing up so it's not one-on-one all the time, and having a Zoom format. Could you do that with podcasts as well?
Yeah, of course you could.
Or serialisation, rather than a Q&A every week, do something like they've done with the serials, so that you follow a certain topic for 6 weeks, let's say.
But what Serial is very good at doing is it's positioned towards the listener. So a lot of podcasts are like you and I now. It's a case of, this is my podcast, I'm going to interview someone, we're going to have a conversation, hopefully you'll get something out of it, and then you'll go and implement it in your life at some point.
Yeah.
What Serial do is they it's almost like they're telling you the story and allowing you to think about it and almost discover what they're discovering with them, almost like you're you're a fly on the wall
Yeah.
in what's happening at the time. And I think that's what really connects with people, is they feel like they're part of that investigation process. So with most podcasts, people are thinking not necessarily about the person that's listening to it, they're thinking about creating a good show, being entertaining, because that's what we're used to, that's what we watch, But realistically, you could do a Q&A with somebody and you could just chop up all the bits that are relevant and say, right, today we're going to focus on health and well-being, and what's the number one reason for warming up? This is what so-and-so had to say about it. And just literally target that particular instruction to the person who's listening without all the waffle and the banter. Some people don't want all the waffle and the banter. Some people just want the nuggets.
I think what would be interesting if you take that serial, we've got somebody on here.
Hello,
Natalie Walsh, hello. One thing that would be interesting if you take that, I like the idea of the serial, is a lot of my guys do transformations, body transformations, and so
Brilliant.
it would be really interesting to take somebody, a case study from episode 1 to episode 12, because they tend to do them in 12 weeks, and follow their journey, or a marathon runner, talk about what you need to do on week 1 before you run the marathon in 12 weeks time, and then the last one could be them running the London Marathon with them crossing the finish line. It would be amazing.
I think that what we, because of video and audio being editable effectively, we now get highlights. So everything's about highlights, right? So everybody wants headlines and highlights. Right? So, you watch a program about refurbishing a house, and it's like we all want to skip to the end, see what it looks like. We know it's a dump in the beginning, we just want to see at the end, right? And it's the same with health and fitness. People want to see somebody who's obese and in 12 weeks is ripped and lean, right? But what I think is important is that we continually remind the audience that it's really hard work. It's not a click and they're there, And I think if you did a case study and you were able to ask these people on a regular basis, how are you feeling? Has it been difficult this week? What's been easy this week? What has changed? Maybe they'll be saying things like, well, exercise has been easier, but I've been really tempted this week, and that's been hard. Or I cracked, and I had a
people
cookie.
can identify with it.
That's
It's
real
life.
That is real life. That's right.
And I think it's more about the journey now. I think we've gone through that exposure to social media and the fast, quick response, and I think people are more interested now in the meat of the story. I think it's going to go the other way.
And I think that's how it should be, because the reality is once you've achieved it, you're then on to the next thing. So the most important part is that process and what hopefully you learn on the journey to get to the end.
Do you know what? Somebody could do that as a podcast, and it would just be 4 podcasts for the year. That would be your content, and you have a different person each 12 weeks. There's your content for the year,
Or if you can, even another spin on that would be, let's say you did 4 podcasts a year, and you know the 4 guests you want, and you could ask each of the 4 guests a different question. The same question, and then what you'll do is you'll say, for argument's sake, podcast 1, we're focusing on mental well-being, for argument's sake, right? So then you say, this is what guest 1 had to say about it. This is what guest 2 had to say about it. And what you're doing is you're focusing the content of your guests across the year into episodes. So you go, first we're doing mental well-being, second we'll do physical well-being, thirdly we'll do how they work together, and and of the 4 guests that appear across the series, as opposed to this month we've got so-and-so, next month we'll have so-and-so, you can say we've got all 4 guests across the 4 years, across the whole year, and we're going to ask them exactly the same question and take their responses and see how they differ. So if they're all experts, they'll all have their own view of how to implement those changes in the real world.
Wow, just a little vignette of the kind of stuff we're talking about. And we're going to be doing an online course first, inviting you along to learn some basics about podcasting, what kind of equipment to use, that kind of thing. But then we're also doing a studio-based full-day intensive where Steph would walk you through, how to launch your own podcast and everything. So details coming soon about that. But if you are interested in finding out more, pop your name below so that we can send you a message and make sure that we let you know about what's going to be happening in the future. It's going to be exciting stuff.
Definitely, yeah, really
awesome.
exciting.
See you later.